people can be taught, and we can, and it's not a teaching of theory. You don't teach a virtue by giving people theory. You have to give them some theory. You have to do a lot. And Jonathan, you're right. It has to reach into, I think, the guts of our everyday life. But I think we should also be encouraging artists. We should also be doing stuff that reach wide audience in order to also try and address it at that level too. That's my hope for the Philosophical Silk Road, to speak at the cultural level and challenge some of the cultural narratives that I think block us and lock us, so that we will only have a negative response to the Advent. Can we educate people, and that requires a transformative education, can we educate people into the virtue of reverence, right, which is bound up with wisdom, which is bound up with knowledge, such that we can tip the needle towards the more productive, creative, human and life-enhancing disclosures of the sacred, and reduce the highly probable negative responses. This is why this project is so urgent. I think I'm deeply agreeing with you. I do want to emphasize that one point about this: a virtue is always between excess and deficit. Like, we can be too loose, but we can be too tight about this too, right? And virtues are always about the golden mean. They're always about dealing with excess and deficit. Right?
The city descends from above, and all the kings of all the nations offer their glory to the city. And so that it's a top-down and bottom-up process. You can see this. We talk about emanation and emergence. That's the city in the heavenly Jerusalem is described as completely top-down and bottom-up. So it's not as simple as just saying, well, it just comes from God. It's like, no, it comes from God, and all the kings offer up their best to it, and so it's being built also from below.
Right. But if we try to be too tight and have too much closure, right, I think a lot of the dangerous responses to the sacred have been individuals and groups pursuing what's called premature cognitive closure, trying to lock it all down. I mean, that's an abiding feature of the rise of the Nazis. They're trying to lock everything down.
It comes from God, and all the kings offer up their best.
I'm saying I think it's on both sides. And I think the virtue is about how can we properly how can we steer between Scylla and Charybdis and actually be propelled forward by them?
In the Jewish mysticism of Kabbalah Tree of Life, there are 10 Sephiroth, which are also called emanations. But today I want to focus on the 6th Sephiroth, and that is called Tifereth.
After Gevurah emanates Tiferet, the 6th Sephirah. Tiferet means beauty, because Tiferet is the principle of balance and harmony. For in Tiferet, pure consciousness balances out the polarities.
The astronomical symbol for Tifereth is the symbol of the sun.
In the hexagram, the 4 elements represented by their alchemical symbols are combined to a harmonious arrangement. This corresponds to the balancing function and the harmony of Tiferet.
And I think about Hahn's notion about the reduction of beauty to the smooth. Reduce beauty to the smooth, the comfortable, the easily gratifying.
The difference between the sun and Venus, I would say, is the difference between harmony and consonance. Harmony is more general. Eurythmy is more general than consonance. Consonance is equilibrium, simplicity, perfection.
The smooth, the comfortable, the easily gratifying, and we therefore, our response to Eros, and it's all perverted, and that's his point, the agony of Eros, is a pornographic relationship.
The Venusian, when it's divorced from the solar, can then become Luciferic, whereas...
But if you think about Rilke, he says, beauty is an angel that could kill you, but decides not to.
The solar...
I love that. That's a great idea.
Right?
Carries with it, the consonance is in there, but so is dissonance.
And if you go back to Plato, beauty is glorious, but it is not fun, right? Beauty launches the Trojan War, right? You have, beauty is a profound disclosure of realness, but we have lost beauty and we don't have a reverential attitude towards beauty. That's what I was trying to get at, the beautification and the glorification, a reapprehension. And that word has two meanings, right? I'm playing on both of them. A reapprehension of realness. You don't get resiliency without reverence to realness. Maturity is about facing up to reality. Listen to the metaphors. There is a new world that is being born right now. Like, beauty is a profound disclosure of realness, but we have lost beauty and we don't have a reverential attitude towards beauty. There is a world in which the scales on our eyes of all the dichotomies, right, that straitjacket us, is falling away, and in which strong transcendence is possible. And so that there is a way, individually and collectively, and even at the level of a civilization, we can participate in a response to the Enlightenment. We can wake up, we can grow up. That, I find that deeply personally motivating, and I know a lot of people do. You know, Eckhart's images of making the manger so that the Son of God can be born again in you. Making space, but not just empty space, it's an affording space so that the sacred can come into the world and take shape as it wants to do.
There should be a bit of a hushed reverence about this, because when the sacred comes back to us, I mean,
reality shows up, walks into the room, as Newbigin says about Jesus. That's how you know you've made contact with reality. You just got taken over.